All right. Welcome, ladies and gents. Chill casting action. Got some 2100 elo players, so higher elo. We've got a Spanish player named Moore. And then we've got Ezio, who I believe is a player from Germany. Both these guys, 2100 elo. Top couple hundred in the world. And I actually play Moore in a tournament final tomorrow. So this will actually be the first time I've ever casted him. So I'll probably just confuse myself if I see something and be like, oh, he would be taken back by this because of his style. I think he's just got like more of a standard style, so it's not crazy, but I actually do play him in a best of 7 tomorrow. And so for those watching live tomorrow, if you wish to anyways, it's 19 GMT, which is 2 p.m. Eastern. Was supposed to play him on Sunday. He postponed, and so we're going to be playing tomorrow. Anyways, Portuguese versus Lithuanians. Actually, really fun matchup. Both these civilizations are definitely in the upper echelon of civilizations on standard land maps these days. I think I would prefer the Lithuanians. The 150 food at the start is just so nice. But Portuguese, they have really strong potential to go for double gold composition in the mid game. So if we're talking Castle Age units like knights and crossbows, knights and monks, all those things, pretty cheap for them to be able to justify that. Anyways, Ezio, he's got a pretty good map here. Both players have 3 core wood lines. So map script seems to be fairly easy to wall up. I actually think that Ezio's map is more awkward, come to think of it, because the wood lines are not far enough out to make an easy wall to protect every resource. And you might be like, T90, why are you talking about walling? Well, I mean, walling eventually matters. And, oh, Ezio's stealing a boar. Okay. All right. Interesting. I know Ezio in the past, like I played him a bit more recently, and then I hadn't played him maybe for a year and before. I do remember he was very lamey. I think he was on my list of players that would lame. I get special treatment sometimes, so it hasn't really necessarily been lamey to me, but he's going to steal the boar. So, you know, it's tricky at a high level. You know, some players, they don't lame. They don't steal anything. They won't steal sheep. They won't steal boars. I'm one of those players in ranked games. But, you know, some players do. It's part of the game. A lot of tournaments do allow it. So maybe, I'm not sure if Moore really has a mental list as well, but he's going to have some adapting to do here. He did go for the fast mill with Portuguese, and they get a bit of wood from that now. So that's why he's delaying his lumber camp here. Jewel has lots of opinions on Ezio. Woo! FYI, Ezio is Portu picker and complains about his opponents also picking a civ when he is force picking in a toxic way, says Jewel. Sheesh! Jewel, tell me more! Like I said, I never really had any massive run-ins with the guy, but I've seen some lamey stuff over you know, every now and then. Maybe he has a tendency to get a little tilted or something, I don't know. But, you know, Moore was already pushing some deer. And then he should be okay to still click up here at a decent time. If he was going to click up a bit faster, like 19 pop, he might need to consider against that here. Actually, seems like he's still trying that. Check his spec dash chats. It's pure popcorn. Really? Yeah, because I was like, no offense, Jewel, but I'm like, you're not playing him, right? You're just a spectator. I gotcha. Okay, so Ezio he had 150 extra food at the start, okay? And then he stole 340 food. Didn't you have enough food? How greedy can one man be? Look, he's even pushing in extra food. All the freaking food here, man. It is interesting with laming on ladder because there are individuals who do not like laming. And there are also individuals who think it's completely fine, right? It's very split. I don't have a massive issue with it on ladder. It bothers me when people do it to me because I never do it to them. If you're going to lame me, just be like, hey, we're going tourney mode. I'll be like, oh, tourney mode. Okay, cool. But, you know, that's a whole thing. But anyways, some people are like, I don't like the fact that that guy did that. And so it's like immediately very divisive. And more, don't try and push his deer back to your base, bro. Attack that scout. It is a pretty fast uptime here for Ezio. I think Ezio is now thinking, I should use my faster feudal to attack. His scout's still weak, though. And more maybe regretting this now. I think you just always fight there. The fact that he's run here is really bad for him because he's given up hits. That was not the best decision making from him. I think he actually wins that fight if he just stays. So now he's down a scout. What's wrong with civ picking? Some people just want to be grandmaster of certain civs, man. Well, I think what Jewel had said is that, you know, if you complain about other people picking civs and then you're also force picking civs as well, that I could see how that could be a little bit hypocritical. I don't think there's anything wrong with picking civs. At the high level, you know, most players have played thousands and thousands of games, so the majority of the player base at a high level likes the random civ because it adds a bit more spice and variety, which I think is fair, but... Dude, someone, I'm not going to say who, but a high-level player advocated for a change to make it so... like, currently, if it's a 1v1 game, let's say, and here comes the scout from Ezio we've got to pay attention to. If one player has crossed off the random option, it will always be pick civ. And someone advocated that if one person has crossed off random civ, it's not enough, and it should default to random civ unless both players want it to be pick civ. And I was just like, that is the most ridiculous suggestion ever, because 95% of players don't want to be forced to play like one of 49 civilizations and have no clue what they're doing. People like to go in and play with their favorite civ and have some type of plan, right? And I was like, no, that's horrible. Like, that would be an example of a change, which is good for the top players, but not for the average players. So you have to have that perspective, right? And I said that too. I was like, yeah, how about no? That's just really, really bad. If they were to make an exception for like the top couple hundred, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that, but... And 95% of the games at a high level are random civ anyway, so it's not an issue for me. Anyways, Ezio's been very aggressive here, and Moore's had a tough time. Ezio, completely demoralize him before our best of 7 tomorrow, please. Make him stay up super late. I'm kidding. It's literally a charity tournament. Listen to me. Well, the fact that it's a charity tournament doesn't mean that I'm not taking it seriously. I haven't, like, full-on prepared or anything. I've done no practice games, but... You know, the semifinal was a tough 3-2 fight. And it's good tourney experience for me, so I'm looking forward to really trying to see how things go. It's 3 to 3 KD here. Total farm count, pretty similar. And I would imagine the uptimes are going to be somewhat similar, but I would love prefer Ezio's position in the long run because you have scout control, the potential to kill villagers. It's harder to play in Moore's position because he has no potential to counterattack at the moment. Ezio actually ran underneath the gate here. You could argue that's maybe not worth it, but he is through now. So now he's got another little army for his opponent to worry about. Sometimes in these situations, keeping your opponent off of gold for just an extra minute or two is really helpful. Because you're able to go to gold yourself for Castle Age or for archers or whatever your next plan is. Bad engagement for Ezio there. Forced to fight, lost all of his scouts. And still going to try and force another engagement, but he's probably just feeling like, I want to get some walls down. If I can get these walls down, then I can be in Castle Age faster and things will be great. And oh my goodness, wait a second. Guys, Mr. Boar Stealer didn't kill another villager. With all those scouts, lost every single one. And if, you know, you guys are looking for some karma, we might see a hole in a wall over here. I just have a feeling. Like, that's a hole, right? Oh, that's 100% a hole. I don't know if there's a tree or a palisade there. It might be hard to see it. What the... I don't know what Moore was doing with this Vil. Aye, okay. When are you playing in the Rage Forest tourney? It won't be till late March. I think the event starts late March, early April. So somewhere around there. Moore took a really long time to send his scouts out. This should be the time where if you're in Ezio's position, you're... Wow, he sold his stone here. You're looking around and making sure you don't have any holes in your walls. I guess he decided this was too much of a headache, so he just rewalled there, which is fine. Chooses to sell his stone, so this will be a bit of an all-in Castle Age. So similar theme to this game as we've had already. Don't know why we're attacking wolves when wolves don't auto-attack scouts, but that's exactly what happened there. And Moore's probably like, oh, there's a hole. There's a hole, man. Oh, this is amazing. Oh, I'm going to kill villagers here. Man, this is a 300 IQ wall there from Ezio. And now he's going to be like, what? Oh, there's no hole? Okay. In the meantime, Ezio did find this hole. But I don't know, like, if you're walled and your opponent's going all in knights, you should be able to keep out the knights early. Seems as though Moore is walled. Gates can be a little awkward on the diagonal. But no scout control over the long run to find relics and secure relics can be a big issue. I think that's what Moore will have to do with his scouts here. Is just make sure he uses scout activity to keep the Lithuanians away from relics. And I wouldn't even mind the light cab upgrade. I wouldn't even mind an extra scout or two in this instance. You've got good eco. You can't make knights for another 90 seconds. Double knights here from Ezio, and he's going to drop the monastery on the outside. What up, Axel? Hello, hello. Remember, golds are here for Ezio in the long run. He's really going to want to secure these. We have seen why these guys are top players, but we've also seen the rustiness and the awkwardness of a 2K, 2K1, right? There's some sloppiness here or there. Like Ezio losing all those scouts, for example. He had 6 scouts. He didn't kill a single villager. That would not happen at the highest of levels. And this gate gets locked. I think this is a situation where you need to build houses behind. But let's see. Because if I'm Ezio, I'm committing all my knights to that gate right now. He's not really doing so. Here he's going to kill a scout. More a little distracted. Ezio, good aggression. And we have double monastery here for more. Now, I'd mentioned this before. Portuguese, they have the cheaper gold units, right? So they can make knights, they can make monks, they can make knights, they can make crossbows. They can make a combination of units. I like this, by the way. Scouts on the relics. I hope they're on attack stance instead of on stand ground, which is oftentimes what players have. And good timing there for more with the house. Ezio going out to get this relic. We'll probably get that one. Lithuanians, as a reminder, if you didn't know, get extra attack on their knights per relic collected. But 3 out of the 5 relics have a scout standing on it. Might want to delete these spears right now. Okay. It gets deleted in a way. And then there's other things to talk about. But yeah, oh man, great move here from Moore. Moore is going to kill this monk. And now Ezio has no scout control. And now he's going to dive into an attack. And there's monks. It's been interesting here. Ezio has been mining stone like he maybe wants to either build a castle or save up stone for a town center, but you had all that food, man. You had all the food. You stole all the food. You pushed all the deer. You let one deer live, and here you are. You better win the game. Otherwise, all the animal murder wasn't even worth it. Okay, both players are going to have some monks here. Both players want the relic. Obviously, important for both players to snag those relics. And knight gets converted. Should be a delete. Don't let it get converted back. Delete, 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 delete. Sorry, really hard for me to call that one. It's been a longer day, and great job here from Moore. Well, fortunately for me, it's all AOK civilizations in the tourney we're playing versus Moore. He seems to play Portuguese pretty solidly. And he's denied Lithuanians from the relics. While also knowing about more relics than I think his opponent does right now. So it's funny, man. Like, the scouts were, I think, the most important thing in this game. Those 6 scouts, not just the fact they didn't kill villagers, before they died, but the fact that they're still not out here having map presence, which could be so helpful in the long run. You do have to be very careful being offensive here, because you don't want this to happen, and this can snowball on you pretty fast. Because the worst thing that can happen in these types of engagements, guys, is one player... Well, I guess the worst thing for you would be the enemy saves their monks, and you lose your monks. So that's why Moore is diving here. It's actually really smart, I think. It might look bad, but the alternative was he runs, saves an extra knight or two, but all those monks are still alive. But still, he is heavily behind in the knight numbers now. He is going to get relic number 2. He's also tried to shift into 3 TCs. Really hard to keep knight production and also TC production rolling in this situation. So he's going to need his monks. Ezio just now adding TC number 2. Ezio still, does he know about this one? He doesn't know about that relic. Oh, he doesn't see that one either. Oh, man. I was in Castle Age so much faster here, right? If Moore didn't have those additional scouts, I think Ezio probably has 3 relics, and he has snowballed this one, not to victory, but to a really strong position already. But the fact that he doesn't see those relics, it really hurts him here. 3 town centers for him, 57 villagers, 61 villagers for Moore. Nice level game we have here, guys. Lots of flow, lots of production. I mean, Lithuanians already have good pikemen, so it's something that you should think about, but I think that if you don't have the relics, you should be thinking about pikemen more and more. Once you get to that stage of the game, where your eco's in a better state. 60 villagers, I mean, you really want your TCs to work all the time. So I'm just not so sure, like, if now is the time. I'm talking maybe 20 villagers from now. I think Moore might have spotted that monk there from Ezio, and Ezio's got to be like, man. And you could tell he's scared to move out at the moment. Also, he didn't stop producing monks, but he doesn't have near as many monks. Conversions are very important, though. It's 11 knights versus 23. More? Can he get more lock-ins here? Yep, gets 1, gets 2, gets 3, and I think he will get 4 there. Doesn't have all of his monks in here, though. He's got this. He needs to leave. He will leave now. And I just don't think he was expecting Ezio to have these numbers. Could argue maybe he should have. He also was focusing there. Killed that monk. Well played. Now we can fall back to more monks. These 2 should get conversions as well. But he's still losing his monks. He is going to get enough conversions, though, where I think that he's going to be somewhat happy with the situation here. Close fight. Looks like Ezio would actually be winning the fight if he stayed, but he backs up to the hill. A little unsure on all the HP. You got to heal up here if you're Moore. All your monks just heal. Did get pop blocked there for a second. We're also going to have some Latus here from Ezio. Good unit to mix in. I think you can make it instead of the knights at this point because they ignore armor and they attack faster and they have more, base damage. So, This comment is intended to help move the T90 face off of the screen. Well, I guess it's accomplished that. I don't think Moore knows about the relic in the north. No, he does not. But he knows about this relic. I mean, the fact he's got that one is pretty crazy. What hurt Ezio here is he didn't really have a gauge of how the relics were positioned, because normally they have an even spacing. But the fact that I think he only saw the one in the middle didn't really give him an idea that there should be one here. He didn't even have thorough enough scouting here. Like, he might be thinking there was a relic here. 21 knights versus 19 knights and 7 Latus. Ezio might want his next castle to be somewhat forward, whether it's for defensive control of the golds or for offensive control. This should be a better fight for Ezio, provided he gets the conversions. He's just got so much here. And, oh, man, Moore's got to back away. Close game here. You could tell Moore wants to take the fight, but he doesn't. He should really wait until he has the final attack upgrade coming in. And I don't think there's anything wrong with falling back. Like, sure, you could lose a couple of your production buildings, or it could be awkward to produce for a second. But you just wait for a couple more monks, and then you patrol right back into the fight. It's tough, though, when those monks are locked in on you, and you kind of feel that and hear that. Not really comfortable to take the fight. He has more knights, but I would love to see Ezio drop that next castle. He dropped it at home? What? Okay. Can't say I agree with that one. Feels like a perfect position to have made the castle in the middle of the map. But he just wants the production of Latus, I guess. So he's kind of just treating it as a production building, not really using it as a positional building. I think this will be very close, but I think it should swing towards more because he has the attack upgrade and because he's got monks close by. Lots of horses died on this day. Latus are so good, man. They're so good. It's crazy. But is it good enough? 39 on food versus 38 on food. 30 on gold versus 27 on gold. The amount on wood's even the same. But Ezio doesn't have that gold locked down with a castle. So, meanwhile, the gold is secured for more. He's not under pressure on it, right? He can see it. He's got access to it. And he's banking up stone as well. Good quick walls there from Ezio. I like this for more. I like this a lot. An underrated move as well. Just split up 2 units from the main pack because they've just been fighting with main groups here. So that will add up. This is going to be an interesting fight, though, because I feel like had the conversions not come in, it would have been a better fight for Ezio. With the conversions, it could be a little different. But Ezio does not notice this, guys. So he's slowly falling behind in Vils. He's going to donate a few Latus. The conversions start to come in. The gold suddenly isn't there for Ezio. He's switching into pikemen. But ideally, you want the pikemen to accompany your knights. You don't want to have 0 knights. Still a few monks out there for more. He has all 5 relics, and his gold units are cheaper here. But we'll have a lot of pikes, and we have a lot of Latus. Ezio isn't finished, but I think he will lose this game if he does not secure these front 2 golds. There's also neutral gold here. There's a neutral gold here. Map control is everything here. Forget about Imp, guys. Just go all in Castle Age, both of you. Oh, Knights are going to run in. Ooh. It's suddenly the defensive castle from Ezio makes a lot more sense. And Ezio could move forward. Also, no +2 armor can make fighting against the pikemen a whole lot more awkward than you would want if you're more. And more, he just hasn't been able to find the firepower compared to the Lithuanians, but he does have the better economy, and he does have the better long-term right now. These knights actually might be able to escape. +2 armor's on the way. Let's see what Moore does with that stone for castle. Because in my mind, it's like, you take the fight, you deny the gold. Even just placing a castle here, you just take the position next to the gold with that castle if you feel like you have a chance to take the fight. If you feel like you shouldn't take the fight, then you're falling back and you're maybe castling here or maybe castling here. That's a dangerous amount of army. I think you've got to place a defensive castle, and that looks pretty defensive to me. He'll go for conversions. I like this too. His decision-making with fighting is actually really good. He took that fight slightly so he could get the conversions. Unfortunately, I don't think he got many. What a game, guys. This is a ridiculous fight. And it definitely has, like, some aggressive feel to it, right after the lame at the start. Like, a little bit of disrespect action. Pikeman Latus destroying. Lithuanians are insane. Like, the civilization that gets extra attack on their knights per relic gets Latus, by the way. And, like, amazing halves and amazing skirms. Lithuanians are one of the best civilizations in the game for a reason. But Lithuanians really need the gold. They really need gold. They really need position. Organ guns can now come out of the... Whoa, did you see that knight? Organ guns can now come out of the castle. Oh, by the way, forgot to do this. We'll just get a little bit more enhancement. Yes. The zooming's a little clearer. I still like knights, and I still like, the organ guns. But Moore's got to stabilize and chase a lot of this down. And so Ezio says, let's go up to Imp. And he actually sells a lot of stone, which seemed intentional because stone and wood are not next to each other on the market. It was an interesting decision there. Seems like Moore wants to switch into crossbowmen because he feels like massing organs is too difficult, which I understand. Good raiding here from Moore. Avoiding the main army. He's done this a few times now, hitting the gold. This has been really competitive. 2 minutes until Ezio is an imp. We'll see what his army composition looks like when he makes it to the Imperial Age. If he'll feel like he needs to change anything. 19 to 19 Eco KD. Will change slightly here because we've got some raids. Cavalier chasing down those Latus. Have the speed for it, obviously. Let's talk about long-term scouting on extra golds. Doesn't see this one. Doesn't see this one. The long-term setup for Ezio is still not very good. Moore's got the relics. Moore can see this. Moore can see this. Moore can see this. So, I think that's all good. The problem for him, man, is like the raids are just everywhere, and he just can't put out all the fires, as I like to say. These two Latus are killing so many vills. Still hasn't noticed. Now he notices. And he wanted to go crossbow, but he... Oh, God, he's falling apart here. He wanted to go crossbow, but he doesn't even have fletching or anything. So he's really rattled at the moment. And he's producing things, and he's, you know, doing his best, but you could tell he's kind of falling apart. And it's with these moments that you want to mass... again, this castle's just insane to me. You got to get vision on that gold. But the thing was, with these moments that you plan for the Trebs here to push this whole position if you're Ezio. He hits him. He sees a panic castle from Moore. Castle's not really killing much, right? Doesn't have upgrades. Still a lot of villagers have died. Okay. Very defensive castles for the farms for Ezio. I guess he maybe thinks this is going to go super late and he wants safe farms. So he can go for like, you know, lots of hussars or something. This would definitely be a time where Moore is starting to breathe and think about upgrades, but just waiting for those Trebs to come forward from Ezio. Very interesting. Ezio's just had so much faith in the latest. He hasn't said... he hasn't thought that if using the castle for anything protective, he hasn't even thought about it for Trebs. He's just like, I simply am going to just use the latest to kill things. And my castle position will not matter. I think he's not too far off, honestly. Elite Latus is on the way. These crossbowmen aren't upgraded yet. This crossbowman army's in big trouble, man. I know you're Portuguese, and I know you have the relics, but you better hope to get some upgrades fast. This is actually smart. Not engaging and falling to the castle. The castle will actually be more effective than it was previous to this. So that's good. A lot of the pikemen now for Ezio kind of throwaway units. And he does have light cav now. So he's thinking about going for the hussars to raid. Splitting up a few units here as Ezio has a big, massive units here that needs to be chased down. More getting bracer now. Still no arbalest. Still no chemistry to my knowledge. So really just struggling with the raids after the raids. And here come the Trebs. This is where I like the do not trickle Treb policy if the game is closer. I think in this position, though, you can just start to toss in one Treb at a time. He's got a million other things to focus on, right? Not sure what she's doing there. But she's got a pretty good chance at survival because of all of the friends that are over here raiding. And Lithuanians, man. Pretty epic. Now, you can't really add Fatorias. I think adding the Fatorias would be too expensive. I don't think he really has the resources for it. And you need time for Fatorias to pay off. I think if you had you stabilized at any point, you could add the Fatoria. But GG's called. So, 5 relics were collected. But it wasn't from the player that won this game. I don't know if that's a first, but that is a pretty crazy stat. We had Lithuanians in a game. The non-Lithuanian player had 5 relics, and Lithuanian still won with Latis. Didn't even need to have all that extra attack because of how good the unit is and how good of a job Ezio did with his production. I think the key for Ezio here was... here, let me show you. Actually, hold on a second. The key for more is what I wanted to say. Guys, I play him tomorrow in a best of 7. He can't change his style by then. I'm going to show you what the difference is in this game, okay? So, obviously, lots of cool fights. Blah, 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 blah. Lots of cool fights. Blah, 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 blah. Knights and monks. You've got the relics. Okay. So, I think stopping his production of monks was kind of a mistake when he knew what type of game this is going to be. I think having a few more is fine. Doesn't really have upgrades here, which hurts. But remember there was a point where it's like right... I mean, that fight really hurt. Okay, right here. The whole game, you're thinking, I have control of the golds, I win. I have control of the golds, I win, right? I know the opponent switched pikemen. I get that. Okay, so he had the right idea. I think at this point, when you start to see crap like this, you go for a defensive castle somewhere close, but your main army's always healing and waiting with monks if he ever attacks, and you've just got 1 or 2 knights here, 1 or 2 knights here, 1 or 2 knights here, 1 or 2 knights here. You just keep playing that game. And he tried, right? He had those 2 knights, but he didn't have his main group ready. I think he just kind of... Like, he's prepped, right? He's got 19 knights versus 14 Latis and some knights, but he just kind of underestimated the amount of production from Ezio, didn't have the monks in position, and then it snowballs really hard because he loses so many of his monks. Still felt somewhat recoverable, but man, I will say Ezio played really well with his unit production. Like, his castles, it felt like they were always producing. At this point, they'd produce 75% of the time, and then the pikes were there as well. And it's really tricky against the Lithuanians because Lithuanians have so many options, and they also have the speedy pikemen. Good game. I honestly, even after the suggestions I just gave to more, I think that is honestly really tricky. Ironically, I think he just needed more knights and more monks a bit earlier. Would have made it more difficult for Ezio to fall into the pikemen. I still think that Ezio placing the castles where he did was a little questionable, though, right? Like, obviously he had army control, which is fantastic. But if the castle would have been here in the event the game's a little bit closer, more competitive next to your golds, you at least have the protection there, so. Hey, OT90, do you remember the weird pickle shirt crew you met at Heidelberg? Ezio is one from our community who couldn't come to Heidelberg. Yo, DeGrasse, thanks for the reso. I do remember the weird pickle shirt guys. Yeah, so I went outside the castle at Heidelberg, Germany. I was there for the Red Bull event. There was a bunch of guys there with pickle shirts. I didn't realize they were pickle shirts. I think I recall it looking like Age of Empires logo. I don't know. It looked something official because they all had a similar logo, right? And they're like, 290, can we get a picture? And I walk up to them to get a picture. I'm like, wow, these guys are true professionals. Look at that. They've got like their team logo on there. And then it was, as you would say it, weird pickle shirts. So yes, I do remember you guys. You were all very nice. And only one of you was very weird. The rest of you were solid. But yeah, I didn't know Ezio was part of that crew there. I think it was mainly a German group, right? Yeah, I played Ezio a lot recently. He's really fast, really talented. I mean, more I haven't really played a lot. I'll play him in my tourney tomorrow. But these guys are examples of some talented players that if they, change certain aspects of their play, like they clearly have the speed, just some tiny aspects here, like scouting a bit more, being a bit more precise with a couple fights, really could skyrocket. Like we've seen enough examples of that. But yeah, it was a cool game, guys. 5 relics for Portuguese there. Collected more gold in the game, but still didn't have the food count to compete. I wonder if not having heavy plow and not having handcart really hurt more. Because right here, the amount on food's not that crazy. Like 42, 45. I guess like Ezio kept making farms. and it was tough for more to do that because of the fights. But, you know, you see a lot of farms that used to have workers, a lot of expiring farms here, and I think maybe missing out on those eco upgrades really hurt him there in crucial moments.